Here's the problem that I usually experience when waking up from dreams, and the crazy difficulty I have trying to remember the dream I was just in a split second ago, less than a second ago, less than a half a second, a tenth of a second ago. I was just there. It's like this. I might be in a dream. Let's say, for instance, I'm in a dream and I'm in the shower and I'm shampooing my hair and the shampoo smells like peppermint. Okay? And maybe while I'm shampooing in the shower with this peppermint shampoo, maybe the water coming out of the shower head is actually hot chocolate. So here I am with this hot chocolate and peppermint smell, and maybe I'm thinking at some point, with all this hot chocolate coming out, that I want to get a cup, and the bar of soap is like a marshmallow. Just imagine that that's the dream that I'm in, and as I'm in this dream, I'm really there. I'm not thinking I'm in a dream where I'm taking a shower. I'm just in the shower. There's hot chocolate coming out. It all seems perfectly natural. Hot chocolate coming out. I'm reaching for the marshmallow bar of soap, and I'm looking for a cup to catch this hot chocolate in. Meanwhile, I'm washing my hair. All this stuff is going on. And then I wake up. And as soon as I wake up, the shower's gone. The hot chocolate is immediately gone. The peppermint smell is quickly receding from my memory. And I have this vague impression in my hand of reaching for this marshmallow. So I wake up, and within a split second, I'm feeling like, where I just was. Just let me keep my eyes closed. I can just remember where I just was, and it's just gone. And I got a piece of paper by my bed with a notepad with a pen. And I want to try to write down my impressions so I don't forget it. And maybe the only thing I can think of writing is marshmallow. That's the only word. And the whole fact that I was in, that it was a shower. And I might maybe vaguely be able to, if I really am lucky, I might remember that I was kind of in a shower. But I'm thinking, yeah, it was a shower, but it wasn't really a shower. Something about winter. I don't know what winter. And the winter has to do with the hot chocolate. So that's I think approximately a sort of approximation of what happens in my dreams. There's about that many different elements going on at the same time. Maybe half a dozen, maybe 8, maybe at most 9 or 10 different elements that are all stirred together in ways that are often not part of the real waking reality, but seem to go together in the dream. The hot chocolate somehow and the marshmallow soap and the peppermint shampoo seems to go together in the dream. And then you wake up and you wait a second. I go in the shower. There's no hot chocolate. It's just water, and the soap isn't marshmallows. But somehow in the dream, it all gets mixed together. And this is the weird experience that I've experienced for years, trying to wonder why the memory of that experience that you're in recedes so immediately that you can't grasp it. You reach out and sometimes the best you can do is almost touch one of the parts of it. You can almost remember that something about holding the cup, but what was going in the cup and why was it a shower? So that's step number 1 about the problem of remembering dreams. I guess step number 2 is why it happens this way, why they recede. Step number 3 is understanding generally how many different elements are usually mixed together in a dream, how many different elements that may be unrelated usually, and how they manage to blend together to become a new kind of reality that doesn't seem so strange when you're in the dream, but when you wake up, and if you're lucky enough to remember the elements, you realize they don't actually go together in the waking world, but in the dream world they do. In the dream world, you can have a hot chocolate coming out of the shower head and not worry about it's not going to get you. It's going to make you dirty. You're still going to get clean with the hot chocolate coming out of the shower. What are the other elements of? I guess the question is how many different elements generally are involved, mixed together, and I don't think it's usually about 8 or 9. Not usually more than that, usually at least 4 elements swirled together. And the other thing about dreams is there's a certain flow to them. I'm often engaged in some kind of a activity or a journey where I'm walking or riding down a street, and it's I might spend several hours of actual sleeping time where I'm just going down one street after the other, and it's this whole path that I'm going through, or sometimes going through different rooms or different corridors of a building, some kind of activities that flows from one thing, and I'm doing something. And the funny thing is I can spend days and months of my actual waking existence doing nothing but just sitting on the couch or sitting on the bed, staring at the computer screen, not going anywhere. But that doesn't happen in my dreams. In my dreams, I'm always always busy with some activity, some occupation, some action, some movement going on, and it seems to have a certain pace of its own. That's a flow, like a stream. It's not static. You never seem to really stay in one place for more than a very few seconds. It's always in this certain rhythm, a certain flow of pace of movement from one thing to another. I think once these things are figured out, most of the dream experience can actually be sorted. And the elusive thing is to try to simply to remember it. The other element about dreams that I wonder sometimes is how much am I aware, whether I'm in a dream or not. Most of the time I'm not. Most of the time I'm just caught up in the place and time and experience of the dream, and I find myself wondering when I wake up, how can that be? How can I have just that element of self-awareness that's just sort of lifted? It's just like a different layer on the image that's not there during the dream, and then when I wake up, that whole extra layer of what time is it, where am I, who am I, that all comes back when you wake up. So that's most of my thoughts about dreams. And well, 2 more things I'll say about it. I think that Alice in Wonderland, the genius of Alice in Wonderland is that it is actually the story of a dream, and that it is very much told It is very much a dreamlike story. It has very much the elements, the shifting elements, and the movement from one event to the next element, and the surrealist thing of all the events of the characters that she's talking to is very dreamlike, and I think is not a great story. It's a ridiculous, absurd story, and I don't really think it's it's only it's a children's story only to entertain children, but not because children. To really understand the story of Alice in Wonderland, I think requires to understand that it is in fact the telling of a dream. And people claim that Lewis Carroll got the story by using drugs. And it's possible if he did use drugs. Even so, that doesn't mean it's a drug story. If Lewis Carroll used drugs to be able to access this kind of consciousness of exactly the nature of dreams, then it just means that he succeeded in his use of any such alleged, any drugs that he might have potentially used to help him to tell this story, merely helped him to get into that dream state while still conscious enough to be able to write it down. But I think if there's a genius to the Alice in Wonderland story, it's not for being a great children's story, but for being a great telling of the dream experience. And that's something that goes way beyond anything I think that Sigmund Freud was able to really accomplish in his interpretation of dreams that was all pseudoscientific, and everything is interpreted sexually, and everything has to be interpreted with 5-syllable words. But that's in spite of whatever earnestness Freud may have had in his desire to interpret dreams, I think Lewis Carroll actually succeeded in documenting the actual dream experience, whereas Freud was merely intellectualizing. The last thing I'm going to say about dreams, and I think it's the main reason why I actually take an interest in it, is that I do believe that I've had visions, or pre-experienced in dreams things that I actually experienced years later. And I think that's the thing that keeps me interested in dreams. I do have the definite feeling, don't ask me to explain why or how, but somehow that it seems that the dream experience is able to give me glimpses of the future. This is the thing that keeps me really interested, and if I could succeed in totally understanding the way dreams work, it would be my hope that this might help me understand how it might be possible that I have definitely experienced this sensation. Not just like a sensation, ooh, something that you're imagining, a definite awareness of something that I could not have been aware of at the time that I dreamed it, of things that definitely came to pass years later. So there you go. It's me talking about dreams.